mean, how many women have felt overshadowed by a man that you felt more competent than, or at least as competent than? Including if it's just like your sibling. Like, how come I'm not getting praise? I got the same grade. But I can't let you off the hook because there's something brilliant and I want to like tap into it. We're all therapists. The story you told of like, I wasn't getting the attention, it is more common that to get attention, we do maladaptive things than it is that we go sell $10 billion worth of television content.
Yeah.
Why did you land on that side of the
I
coin?
know. And honestly, being the bad child was never a thought for me. Like, well, maybe I should do that. Like, I never thought. I mean, it is like been, do it better, and do it, and I just have never thought to veer right or left. And by the way, I tiptoe kind of to the lines. Like I've done a little of that, but like I've never.
But that's not. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, if you tell me like, here's a child, youngest of 3, the boy's got all the attention, the girl didn't get as much attention. She wants attention. Stripper pole, television executive.
Right.
Which one? You landed here, but the odds were this.
Yes.
Like the odds were like this.
I
mean,
I don't know.
Heavy odds.
I was kind of afraid of my mom. I got to be honest. Like she really drilled like, you have one reputation. That's it. You'll never get it back. Blah blah blah. So I don't know. I mean, whatever that was, it sort of worked on me in terms of just being better at whatever I attempted, But I do know, and I certainly have encountered people that have similar, setups that have gone a completely different way. And by the way, I had friends along the way that were rebelling and whatnot. And I've been, I've been drawn to those people. Like I'm very drawn to people that are able to kind of break the rules and fly a little looser. But I just have never, I've always stayed in a very structured, sort of safe place, because that is, for me, that just feels more comfortable.
Okay, so you also just used the word that I experience. I was surprised to hear you say it. And you guys catch her say it. She said, I've always functioned in a lot of structure in a safe place. And just in case you guys haven't gotten it, like Tiffany Haddish and like Kevin Hart and whatever actor don't exist unless this person can sell the show. So when you're like, I did this safe thing, walking into those boardrooms selling shows doesn't sound safe to me.
Yeah.
How did you?
It's hard to explain, but there is.
I'm gonna keep poking.
No. And it's the draw for me, because honestly, I think when I was younger and people would say, what do you want to do? I want to be a movie star. I want to be an actress. I want to be, all these things that perform. And then just as reality kind of hit, and I became, one of my first jobs out of college, I was a writer's assistant for a show called Sisters on the Warner Brothers lot, and it was like Disneyland. And I didn't even really know what a writer's room was, and they really just wanted someone to go get them lunch at the end of the day, which I was perfectly happy doing. But I got to sit in a room, and then I thought, oh my God, no, this is storytelling. This is like, oh my God. And I was getting excited, and then I thought, maybe I'll be a writer. And then I thought, oh, they don't know where their next job is coming from. They don't know their next pay. Like, they don't have any sort of guidelines or structure around their life. But then when I found development, it was like the best of every world, because I could play inside of a job, and that job meant a lot to me, because I think just my father, being very old school, had like one job. And so I thought, if I can go and it's probably why I stayed at CBS for so long. It was like, if I could stay at one job for a long time, like I'll make my dad proud, or it'll sort of feel. So the unwieldiness of the entertainment business is like, there's something that scares me about it, but I found my security inside of a job called development, and then I was able to, kind of stretch a little bit.
Yeah, you're saying, okay, so one of the things that Adam and I have been teaching for almost 15 or 20 years is how important it is. So therapy is known for like helping people solve a problem, but we don't believe that's the purpose of therapy. We think the purpose of therapy is to help people like find their purpose, find their place. Like how you just said, like I found development and then I could play it. It was like the best of all the worlds and I could do the thing. How did you know you had found it? Like when you were like, I'm in the writer's room and did this and now I'm here. Mm-hmm. How did you know you had found your place?
I mean, honestly, it was early because I got a temp position on Nina Tassler's desk. And again, they said, go to building 140, it's called development. I had no idea what that was. I had been running around the lot doing all these other jobs. And then I sat there and everyone kept saying, Nina this, Nina that, Nina. I'm going, who's this Nina you speak of, And in she zips, she's like this tall, she's like 4 feet tall. She zips in and she sat at her desk. She used to smoke at her desk too, which is crazy. And she's smoking and she's calling and she's on the phone and she's saying, you get me so into blah, 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 and this writer and that director and blah, blah, blah. And then, I'm listening to her and I'm watching her and I tempted her for 2 weeks. I cleaned her ashtray at night. I looked at her notes. I was blah, blah, blah. And then I called my mom and dad and I was like, I found it.
How did you know?
I just knew. I don't know. I think it was the mixture of this thing called I loved television, mm-hmm. and I loved that writing experience and sort of how free that felt. But then once I put it together that this woman gets to kind of play in all of those sandboxes, but then she gets to put it together. And I won't pretend and say that like control is a big theme in my life. And so that notion of being able to control that, I think was like, I'm gonna try that. And I waited for her, by the way. I had graduated from UCLA with a degree in poli-sci, and I thought maybe news, politics, something. And when I called home and I said to my mom and dad, I think I found it, but the job's not available. I have to wait until she either promotes her assistant or the assistant leaves or whatnot. And so I hung out in another temp position in business affairs down the hall. And I know they were like, wait, what is she doing? What is she waiting for? What's happening? It took a minute. It took being able to actually work on something that then made it to air. Mm-hmm. And then I could show them and then I could explain to them kind of what I was part of for it to register. But I just knew there was something so wholly creative and something structured that somehow fit together.